Sorry, just sort of... Що ж, привіт усім! Ми перебуваємо зараз з вами на Games Gathering, і зараз тут поруч зі мною знаходиться Радослав Гwarek, людина відповідальна за неймовірний перебіг зворушливих, щемливих та пронизливих історій у This War of Mine та Frostpunk. So, вітам!
Vitam.
So, how do you feel about this whole event? So, your speech is tomorrow, but still, what's the atmosphere? What's the vibe for you?
The vibe is that I see a lot of young people who are trying to get into our industry, which is great because they have so much potential to release, and I see those games out there, a lot of great ideas, and I think that the entire event is pretty big, you know, 3,000 people, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the hall is huge, and we have many different attractions, so I love it.
So you spoke about the passion of young people, but every year with each passing month we can hear about the crunches, about the difficult conditions of work, and this whole idea that playing games is great, but making them is a really hard work.
Well, so you should go to our studio. At LME Studios we don't have crunch, so we're trying to have better working environment for people, and we are trying to avoid as much as we can crunch time. But in general, when you're working in video game industry, you need to sacrifice a lot of your time and effort, but it will pay back to you. It will give you good feedback from your players, and that's the most important. You can spend like many hours crunching and overworking, but when you see those players playing your game, this is all what you need. This is the best feeling that you can have.
And yeah, when you released Frostpunk, if I remember correctly, you hit like almost 500,000 in less than 3 days.
Yeah.
So what did you feel at that moment when you see the numbers, see the positive feedback?
Well, that was amazing. It was amazing that so many people in so short period of time were willing to buy and play this game, because it's not like they only bought this game. They were actually playing online. I mean, the game is single player, but you can see how many players you have at the same moment, and there were huge number of players, and wow, that was amazing. Because if I remember correctly, for this War of Mine, it was after release something about 7,500 people playing at the same moment, which was amazing, and Frostpunk even did better.
Yeah, I don't know the correct figures of this War of Mine, but they were way smaller.
Yeah, it was in general a smaller game. Frostpunk was bigger game, it had bigger team, so in general it was a more complex game.
And still, Frostpunk is mainly based on the things that you do, actually AI.
Yeah.
The whole simulation, the whole process of controlling weather, people in your community, in your basically settlement. So what main challenges you have as an AI programmer?
I'm not a programmer, I'm a designer.
Oh, sorry.
But I like to program from time to time. I'm also making some coding, because, well, it is faster if I make some quick prototype. But the most challenging thing is testing out our AI systems to provide good quality, because this game is very serious. And when you're making a game like this, which speak about human suffering, about tragedy, you need to be aware of certain types of mistakes. You don't want player to see some funny situations in a game like this, and trying to test this game, test it out as far as we can to provide good quality, to not have any problems, so it can go run smoothly, and it creates this experience for our players, this immersion. So because of that, we spent a lot of time testing our game, and mainly AI system.
So when I was playing Frostpunk, at first I felt the lack of sort of personality of each NPC. So basically in my head I imagined like when you click on a certain man or woman or a child, there would be a sort of window with its name and some sort of smaller simulation. And obviously I think that you have come up with these ideas at some point. So in terms of this part of the game, how different was the final result from your initial planning? So in the process of making the game, what did you have to throw away?
Well, fortunately, we implemented most things that we wanted to have. The question is, what is the definition of our initial design? Because we had a lot of prototypes, a lot of approaches how we can present the city, but the final result was very close to what we expected. So we managed to provide pretty accurate implementation of our vision of this game. So because we have a lot of talented people and we have a lot of, what is even more important, experienced people, so it went pretty smoothly.
And as for automatons, like the local in-game robots, they have great idea. So basically you had to make a trade-off between living people and machines. And apart from them, did you have initial plans for some other, let's just say, sort of units that would influence the very process of survival?
No, we thought that we need to add those automatons to provide to players some kind of decision, because automatons, they can also cause some problems. They are huge 80 meters piece of metal, and they can cause some problems in your city. They can injure some child, for example, because it's not like they are driven by super AI. It's like steampunk. It's a lot of steam, and they can cause some problems. So you need to decide whether you will keep them or not. So it's up to you.
And speaking of the whole AI as a concept, AI in which other games is the most impressive for you?
For me, well, this one of mine. But I think that Dwarf Fortress has a very advanced AI system when it comes to making decisions for what my units, because we have those dwarves, what they will do. So I think it's pretty impressive. And also Fear, FPS shooter, they have pretty advanced AI. And well, I think that most modern games, they have pretty cool AI, because we have better and better tools, and new games are really good, making a good job when it comes to AI. So pointing out only one game is impossible in those times.
So okay, and which games of 2019 have impressed you the most? Not just in terms of AI, but in general, as a player.
I still playing older games mostly, so I'm not into AAA new releases.
Okay, so earlier in our talk, you just said that there is a huge difference between AI programmer and AI designer. So could you explain for people which are far from the technical skills and basic knowledge, so what is the main difference between these two things?
Well, the difference is that AI designer, I think, should know how to code, because it's a very technical job, of course, and it helps a lot. But the main difference is that obviously AI designer has to spend a lot of time trying to figure out systems and find the best numbers for certain things, and programmer should focus on trying to provide good debugging tool for designer. So it's like AI designer is working more with Excel and programmer obviously is working more with code. So, but I think they are pretty close when it comes to knowledge, because both of them need to be very technical. Programmers need to be very technical by default, and AI designer I think should have pretty strong code knowledge, programming knowledge. So I think they're very close to each other.
Okay, and when you are making DLCs, so do you put a lot of new stuff into them, or just mainly we have
all
the
only
systems?
new stuff. We have only new systems, and that's why I have to spend some time to adapt our existing systems to support the new mechanics, because they are crazy and they are cool and they're amazing. You know, our designers are making so good job. But I'm trying to adapt my systems, my AI ideas to be able to support their new ideas. So this is very challenging, because the only thing that they provide is good new content and with good quality. So.
Okay, so while making Frostpunk and DLCs to Frostpunk, what was the most difficult part for you as an AI designer? The most challenging thing?
As I said, it was adapting our current systems for new ideas. For example, we have a new map which has bridges. They are very narrow passages. And initially, our AI system was not designed to work with this idea. So I had to work a little to adapt our system so our agents will be able to fit on these bridges and go through them in correct way. You know, don't levitate above the ground. And I will have this topic in my speech. So I will show you some screenshots of how it looked like initially, and you can compare to how it looks now. So it was a lot of job, and it was mostly job for programmers. So I was only trying to find problems and solutions, but our programmers were implementing those designs to our game.
And in general, there is like a huge question to the whole 11-bit studios. How do you manage to make simple numbers, simple small models of people to feel relevant, to feel really dramatic and make players care for them?
Oh,
because it's when you're playing for a long time, for a couple of hours, you just see a number, but you still feel the emotion. How do you achieve it?
This is because behind this simulation part of our game, we still have story, which drives you towards some final ending, and you need to make some choices. And every choice has its own consequences. Every decision has its own consequences. So we have a story. I mean, first we have story part of this game, and second we have simulation.
And at what point of making Frostpunk did you get with this really brilliant idea of the final few days, when you simply, as a player, you cannot do anything, you just face the consequence and just sit here like this,
yeah,
and seeing the whole, it's devastating. So
yeah, it is.
Was it, let's just say, the initial idea that we want to make players suffer for what he chose, or did you came up with it at the later stages of production?
Well, first thing, we have amazing story writers, so they managed to create this tension. But I think the main point of these few days is that you need to prepare. You need to make some preparations, and we need you to feel the consequences of your decisions. So this is like the final chapter of your story.
And also there was one point which kind of embarrassed me, because the moment when you need to choose sides in politics, go this way or that way, because I wanted just to stay away from it for as long as possible,
yeah,
but it was not impossible.
It will hit you at some point.
It always hit like 3 days or 4 days, and it was a sort of, for me as a player who wanted to feel as much freedom as possible, it was a sort of bad move from devs. I was a bit angry at you because why do you limit me? So why was your motivation to mainly force player to choose sides?
Because in real life, sometimes you cannot have control over everything. Sometimes some events hits you and you need to react. So we try to bring the same feeling to our game. Something finally will hit you, and the question is, how will you react? And we want to see what players, what decisions our players are making. So, well, as I said, it's like real life. You cannot. Sometimes you cannot escape from some events, from some consequences.
It's not the Witcher code. You cannot be neutral. You have to pick sides, right?
Yeah, because, well, I think this is a very important part of our history. So maybe it may look at some point as some kind of issue for players, but in general, from wider view, I think it's a good move.
So, okay, the first game was really impressive, really touching, really dramatic. The second one, the same, tension, emotion, drama, story. Where is your studio taking the players next in your next project?
Well, I would like to tell you, but I cannot. It's top secret. Project 8 is very top secret game, but I hope we will show you something soon. So,
will the tone of the game be similar to the previous projects, or will you try to make something more, let's just say, less intense?
Well, the only thing that I can tell you is that this game will be again about consequences and about decisions. I mean, first decisions, and later you have consequences of those decisions. But because this is the thing what we do, okay? Every single game from Lemmy Studios will be about emotions, will be about those decisions, about the story. So that's the only thing what I can tell you right now, but I hope very soon there will be some more information about our current project, which will be amazing, and still it's amazing. I am willing to finish this game just to play it.
Oh, that sounds great, really. And yeah, it's like usual thing for every creative person. So for artists, it's about art. For game designers, it's about games. So throughout your whole life, which games have impressed you the most and basically led to this game developing career?
Well, the first game was Mario. And also I played Stalker.
Oh. Are you excited about Stalker 2?
Yes, I am. It was Shadow of Chernobyl, and I played with original voices that were great. They were creating this atmosphere. Also, I played Doom a little. And a lot of Diablo 2. So those games made me as a creator, as who I am right now.
So actually we have David Brevik here. So
oh yeah.
Did you have a chance to talk to him?
Well, we are hanging out a lot lately, so this guy is really experienced, and I like to listen what he has to say, because you know, he's the master of making great game. And well, Diablo is not the only great game that he made, so.
Well, still, I'm super happy to see you, really excited.
But it's also important, I was able to meet Alexei from Stalker.
Oh.
Yeah, the designer behind this game, and he's also amazing, so.
So, did you have a chance to, let's just say, discuss some really great ideas that you could implement, or maybe share some experiences with them?
I like to listen to them, because they're very experienced. So I don't think like I have much to to like something that they can learn from me, because I am way younger than they are, and I am way less experienced than they are. So
Well, still you will have a speech here.
yes, yes, I do. But
People will definitely learn something
yes, but
from you.
when you meet with people like Alexi or David, you just want to listen to them. You don't want to speak too much.
So I'm really excited about the people that will listen to you and maybe learn a lot of new things from you. And I am really excited to hear about your new game. So in 2020, will we have some announcements?
I hope so, because as I said, I'm willing to play this game, so we need to finish it as soon as possible. But our main target is to release one game per year. So we're trying to build up new teams or enlarge existing teams to provide one game per year, because players they are very demanding and they ask you to give them new game like this.
So, and in Ukraine also we have a really good community of This War of Mine
Oh,
and
yeah, you
Frostpunk. So just to wrap up, you have a chance to tell a few words to your Ukrainian fans and players.
Well, I spoke with them, so I love them.
No, just to the camera.
Oh, so I hope that many of you, if you want to create games like Frostpunk, you can even go to our company and work with us. What is more important, because Ukrainian people, they are very talented. They have a lot of passion, and what is even more important, they have a lot of energy. So if you want to create games like This War of Mine or Frostpunk, we're open.
So the link will be in the description, as always.
Yeah, so just come and work with us.
So, okay, thank you. We'll hope that you'll find some new people to work at your company, and we are really looking forward to see your next game. So, thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Що ж, ну і звісно ж не забувайте підтримати цей ролик коментарем, вподобайкою, поширенням і чекайте нових відео на каналі PlayUA.